Coming up on Network Africa, US President Donald Trump threatens to cut funding for South Africa over its new land policy. Egypt rejects displacement of Palestinians from their land, unveiling a reconstruction plan for Gaza. Displacement crisis deepens in Goma as the World Food Programme warns food and water supplies are running low in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Welcome to the program this week. I'm Layo Olarinde. We begin with stories and happenings that made headlines over the weekend.
In the Democratic Republic of Congo, the new North Kivu governor vows to restore state authority as clashes with M23 rebels intensify. Major General Somo Kakule Evariste, who was appointed as the new governor of the conflict-hit North Kivu province amidst a rebel offensive in the eastern region. His appointment followed the death of former governor Major General Peter Sirimwami, who was killed in fighting against M23 rebels. At his inauguration ceremony, he said despite the Rwandans occupying parts of the province, there is resistance and determination to reconquer and restore the authority of the state in these areas. Meanwhile, the Zimbabwean president has urged all parties in the eastern DRC to uphold the Luanda ceasefire and Nairobi peace process through dialogue and peace building during the Southern African Development Community Summit in Harare. SADC Executive Secretary Elia Magosi also raised concerns over deteriorating security in the DRC, stressing the urgent need to restore essential services including water, electricity, and supply lines.
Let us not overlook the humanitarian crisis stemming from the prevailing armed conflict in eastern DRC. The plight of the millions of internally displaced populations cannot and should not be ignored. The people of the eastern DRC have suffered for far too long. Further, SADC condemns in the strongest terms the attacks by aggressor forces. The importance of dialogue and peace building for the benefit of the people of the eastern DRC must be boldly pursued. All parties to the conflict are urged to pursue an encompassing dialogue and peaceful dispute resolution mechanisms guided by the spirit and letter of both the Luanda ceasefire agreement and the Nairobi peace process.
Summit expressed concern that the recent attacks continued to worsen the security and humanitarian situation in the DRC and called for immediate restoration of essential utilities such as water, electricity, means of communication, and supply lines for food and other essential commodities. Summit urged political and diplomatic leaders who are parties to the conflict to engage in a coordinated effort of dialogue, including supporting the Luanda process, MONUSCO, and others to restore peace and security in eastern DRC.
Thousands of people have demonstrated against a proposal touted by US President Donald Trump for Egypt and Jordan to take in Palestinians from besieged Gaza. Protesters waved Egyptian and Palestinian flags outside the Egyptian side of the Rafah border crossing with Gaza. The Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi has rejected the idea that Egypt will facilitate the displacement of Palestinians in Gaza and says Egyptians will take to the streets to express their disapproval. President Trump's proposal has also received widespread condemnation, with critics calling it ethnic cleansing and a war crime. Many countries in the Muslim and Arab world, as well as European nations such as France, have firmly rejected the idea.
U.S. President Donald Trump is threatening to cut off all future funding to South Africa over allegations that it was confiscating land and, quote, treating certain classes of people very badly. Last month, President Cyril Ramaphosa signed into law a bill that allows land seizures without compensation in certain circumstances. Land ownership has long been a contentious issue in South Africa, with most farmland still owned by white people 30 years after the end of the racist system of apartheid. There have been continued calls for the government to address land reform and deal with the past injustices of racial segregation. However, the South African government has dismissed President Trump's criticism, stating that the expropriation of land is a legitimate exercise of sovereign right under international law. Joining us now for more on this is our Channels TV correspondent in Johannesburg, South Africa, Innocent Samosa. Hello, Innocent.
Hello, colleague. A very good evening to you and our viewers around the world.
Well, we know President Trump posted this on his Truth social media page, but has South Africa been formally informed of this?
Yeah, indeed, Layo. The world woke up to news of President Donald Trump plans to cut U.S. funding to South Africa over the land expropriation bill. Now, I guess there's a little bit of clarity that the President Donald Trump needs. But according to President Cyril Ramaphosa, the bill really appeals, the Pre-Democratic Expropriation Act of 1975. This, of course, is to give an opportunity for government to expropriate land. This, Layo, is because, the issue of land expropriation with or without compensation, it's a big discussion. It's just a subset of a bigger discussion on land, because the truth is that when government seek land for land reform purposes, wanting to put people there, whoever owns the land, if they know that it's government looking for that land, they tend to shoot prices up artificially, and it makes it difficult for government to essentially purchase that land. But Layo, going back to your question, yes, of course, South Africa has now joined the likes of Canada, Mexico, and the European Union, just to name a few, on U.S. President Donald Trump's media platform, Truth Social. But of course, you would know, Layo, that since his inauguration, Trump has been engaged in intense political battles, and South Africa now finds itself in the crossfire, for lack of a better term. He has accused the country of, confiscating land and mistreating certain groups of people, calling it a bad situation. Trump also, claimed that the what he called radical left media is ignoring what he describes as a massive humanitarian violation. He stated also, Layo, that at the minimum, it's happening for all to see. And he says that the United Nations won't stand for it. He says that they will act. Now, additionally, Layo, he announced plans to also cut future funding to South Africa until full investigation into the matter is completed. Now, meanwhile, you know, Layo, that within the Republican Party and also the Senate, there is an ongoing legislation seeking to review bilateral relations between South Africa and the United States. The review is based on South Africa's foreign policy relations, particularly, the issues regarding Russia, Israel, and the Palestinian cause, especially in relation to the war in Gaza. And South Africa's efforts to the International Court of Justice taking Israel there. So all of these really puts, South Africa in a very, very compromised position. The relationship between South Africa and America, it does remain uncertain, Layo.
Now, Innocent, if future funding is cut off, help us understand what the implication of this, what implications this has for South Africa.
Indeed, Layo. So the financial markets are indeed closely watching how the South African rand responds to these developments. But also there are concerns about the AGOA, which is the African Growth and Opportunity Act, which is up for renewal, of course, later this year. Again, the future of South Africa and the trade relation really remains uncertain. And also I guess the big task now lies in the hands of Ibrahim Rasool, who is, of course, South Africa's ambassador to the United States. He faces a daunting task, diplomatic relations and all of these tensions. The big question is, what does this mean practically, and is this a signal of a further action to come? I guess it really remains to be seen, and the impact of this it remains to be seen, Layo. But I guess this will come with it will be a big talking point when you speak of inflation, because the reality is that whatever Trump says, it does have an impact, because its sentiment is one thing that really drives the market. The market can go up and down depending on sentiment, and a sentiment that comes from a leader of a powerhouse like America, it does shake the market. Hence I said that they'll be closely watching the rent. But of course today, Layo, interestingly, South Africa's Minister of Mineral Resources, that is Gwede Mantashe, he was addressing the mining indaba, which is currently underway in Cape Town. He responded strongly, stating that if they don't give us money, we won't give them our minerals. However, this is a good statement, Layo. However, such move would trigger relations from global markets. Some argue that Trump's stance also puts America in a very precarious position, as you would know that America heavily relies on global trade and resources, because the truth is that they do not have everything. So they rely on the international community. But before I give it back to you, Layo, at this stage, there is a great deal of uncertainty, because some are asking, why is South Africa being targeted now? Many are seeking to understand Trump's motives and the broader implications, Layo.
Yeah, and I'll just continue on your last comment there, the response of South Africa to this, especially those who are affected by the new land policy.
Yeah, indeed, Layo. In fact, efforts are currently underway to engage with Trump's administration to really clarify statements and prevent what they call misinformation from escalating tensions. Some within the American diplomatic community believe that upon a former president's engagement, so they believe that if President Ramaphosa can really sit down with his administration and really make them understand where we are, because there are two separate issues here, Layo. It's the issue of aid and the issue of trade. AfriForum, which is one of the lobby groups here in the country that really is at the forefront of this, they're now seeing that it might come with ripple effects. They've now said that they'll write a letter again to President Donald Trump to tell him that he must only target the leaders in the African National Congress who wants to use this bill for their benefit. This must not, in fact, he said that they must not punish all South Africans. They must not punish all of these NGOs that are receiving aid from America. So it does seem as though they now see that it's not only the ANC that is going to struggle, but it's everybody in South Africa who's going to be actually affected by this particular move. But we do know, Layo, that the South African government is making efforts to really sit down with Trump's administration to clarify some of these matters, Layo.
All right, then. Thank you, Innocent Samosa.
Thank you so much, colleague.
South Africa's Minister of Minerals, Gwede Mantashe, has emphasized that Africa must share in the continent's wealth. He was speaking on future-proofing mining today. Mantashe is urging African nations to be honest with one another and not present a false image of their realities. He made these remarks at the ongoing Investing in African Mining in Daba that's currently taking place in Cape Town, South Africa. The conference, which has gathered industry leaders, policymakers and government officials, is set to run until Thursday.
And to complement the magnitude of the mineral wealth that the people of South Africa ought to benefit from and share, in 2024 we undertook a study on the state of mining in South Africa. Let me explain why did we do this study. We did this study because many people were saying mining is in decline in South Africa. It used to be a great mining country. It is in decline. And we came back after the study and said to them, gold mining is in decline. Mining is on the rise. Very big contradiction. Because we're a major gold mining country, people equated mining to gold mining. When gold mining was in decline, everybody believed that mining is in decline. But more important there, we discovered that a number of minerals are growing. We're leading in a number of minerals that are required by today and the future.
Welcome back to the program. Egyptian Foreign Minister Badr Abdelati says his country has a plan for the reconstruction of Gaza that does not involve displacing Palestinians from their land. He made these comments during a joint press conference in Cairo with Djibouti's Foreign Minister Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, where he also welcomed Sudan's Foreign Minister Ali Yusuf Ahmed and the UN's Senior Humanitarian and Reconstruction Coordinator for Gaza, Sigrid Kaag. Mr. Abdelati says there is a definitive plan for the reconstruction of Gaza that ensures no citizen is expelled from their homeland. Abdelati's remarks indirectly addresses U.S. President Donald Trump's proposal that Egypt and Jordan should accommodate Palestinians from Gaza to clean out the whole thing. Djibouti's foreign minister also expressed his support for the situation, stating that Djibouti aligns with Egypt's stance on Gaza and commends President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi's efforts towards achieving a ceasefire. Well, thousands of people continue to seek shelter under worn and damaged tarpaulin tents in Goma, Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, following the fall of the city to M23 rebel fighters. Displaced people are returning to the devastated areas amid plastic tents because, according to them, they have no other place to live as their homes have been destroyed in the city. Many are pleading for assistance in being able to earn a living, some selling their tarpaulins because of hunger. In the meantime, the World Food Programme of the UN says concerns are mounting as violence escalates rapidly in and around Goma. In the city of 1 million plus people, food and water supplies are also running low. Several WFP warehouses are said to have been looted, and the teams on ground are taking stock of what they will need to locally procure and transfer by road to make sure they have provisions once their operations resume in the critically affected areas.
People are really running out of food, clean water, medical supplies, and that's a big concern. So the supply chain has really been strangled at the moment. If you think about land access, air access, when everything is closed down. So our first priority is obviously for staff safety. We want to get back to our operations as soon as security allows us to.
Meanwhile, the Under-Secretary General for Peace Operations, Jean-Pierre Lacroix, says the situation in the DRC remains tense and volatile, with occasional shooting continuing within the city. He notes that UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has spoken to Rwandan President Paul Kagame as well as Congolese President Felix Tshisekedi, emphasizing the importance of the protection of civilians and the safety and security of UN personnel.
Fall of the Assad government and the entry, presence and activities of the Israel Defense Forces in what we call the area of separation under.
In the meantime, families caught up in the conflict in Goma continue to cross the border into neighboring Rwanda seeking safety. About 1,000 asylum seekers have arrived at the Rugerero site, which is currently under construction and has been specifically designated by the government of Rwanda to receive new arrivals. UNHCR, the UN Refugee Agency, is working closely with the government to refine contingency plans and support the coordination of key partners. The representative in Rwanda, Ndeye Ndiaye, visited the border and the Rugerero site, saying it's to better understand immediate needs and ensure a coordinated response.
We are in Rugerero, which is the new site where the government of Rwanda has hosted the people that have crossed the border from Goma following the conflict that has really continued recently. And up to now, the government has received about 1,000 people that have arrived. They continue coming, but to be accommodated here. So some basic services being availed for them. We as the United Nations community, we are all in a operation mode. We would like to know more about the situation, the needs, the gaps that are there, and together with MINEMA, who is the ministry in charge of refugee management, we are going to assess this and make sure that we put all the contributions and the resources that we are ready to avail as one family, the United Nations. It's very the beginning of the movements of people. So we need to be vigilant and continue to do the monitoring and support them as the need arises. It's quite volatile. We don't know also what's going to happen on the other side. Today it is calm. We hope it will continue to be peaceful, but we have to be, as I mentioned, very vigilant and be ready and prepared to respond as the need arises.
Former Côte d'Ivoire captain Didier Drogba and representatives of the E1 team, a sport game called E1 Electric Powerboat Racing Series, today paid a courtesy visit to the Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu at Lagos House Marina to introduce the E1 sport game to Lagos State. The CEO Fund for Export Development in Africa, Marlene Mvidia, says the E1 game is one of the championship game and Lagos should be part of it because of its waterways potential. Didier Drogba, who is also partnering with E1, says he is ready to collaborate with the Lagos State government to improve the sport sector.
One of the things that we have spoken about, you must have read it in the press, is our desire to make a true impact in the creative industry. The creative industry, we define it at the moment as film, as fashion, but as sport as well. Sport is a very important part of it, and music, obviously. And so when it comes to sports, our desire was to say, let's do something concrete, let's do something bold. Let's make sure that we are forward-looking, forward-thinking, and this is where we have been discussing with Didier from many years. Mr. Didier Drogba and his wife, they have been friends of Afreximbank for a long time. They have been supporting us across that thought process around what can we do for the creative industry, what can we do for our youth, what can we do for Africa to put ourselves in the stage of the world. So this is one of the most exciting global championships on earth. It's about boat races. You will have the opportunity to hopefully see those boats. They're very modern, very good looking. Most importantly, they're sustainable. So this is really transforming sports and fast sports in a way that is sustainable.
We started an adventure with Iwan and Alejandro Agag and all his team. They came to us. No, we met them in Riyadh, and they spoke about this new sport. And we said we cannot be left out. You know, we want to be in. How does it work? So they explained to us, and the sustainability part was very important because I know the continent is really looking forward to those changes that we need to implement. And I think in my position as a public person, I think I can help have a stronger impact on the continent. So wherever it is for sustainability or even for sports and for inspiration, we're here to inspire the youth, to inspire our elders, to say, yes, it's possible. What you see abroad in Europe or in America, you can have it here.
Mr. Governor, once again.
In his response, Governor Sanwo-Olu says the E1 electric powerboat racing series is a welcome initiative and the state government will create an enabling environment to make the game thrive in the state.
We see this as another unique opportunity to tell the Lagos story, but in a sustainable manner, and that's why we are also really, truly excited. On the waterways, we've been working with the French Development Bank, for example. We're changing all of our, ferries. We're changing a whole lot of them to EVs, to electric, boats. All of that conversations have been very advanced. Funding has been raised, and we'll begin to see, even as we move on, we have enough natural body of water, that will be able to take the entire plan of E1. And Drogba, you're an household name here. You're such an inspiration. You're such, an icon here, in which your name will open doors and will keep them open.
Nigerian Afrobeat singer Tems has scored her second Golden Grammy Award at the World Ceremony with a win in the Best African Music Performance category. And this was at the 67th Recording Academy Awards in Los Angeles. And that's it on the program today. Thank you for watching. I'm Layo Olarinde.